Hey guys, this is Tom Hanks. Welcome to another stream. Today we will do the first race out of three in the 2004 Analogue Supercars Challenge. So we have had a total of 22 submissions. 2 were unfortunately disqualified, and I'll get into that in just a second. But 20 cars are still perfectly valid, and so we will have 20 competitors here today. Hey Tess, and hey Revhang, and hey Sejai, if I haven't said hello to you already. Anyway, so 20 valid competitors and 2 DQs. Again, I'll get into the DQs in just a second once we fire up BeamNG. And so let's do that in just a moment here. Sorry, that was just a little warning notice because BeamNG has crashed recently, and so it reminds you of that, you know, for the next 2 months after it happens. So, anyway, we are here in BeamNG. Race number 1 will be on the automation racetrack circuit. We'll do 1 lap. And as always, we will start with my test cars and with the DQ cars, these 2 here. So the Jeruk Renewal RLV2, I hope I pronounced that correctly, that was sent in by Lennox V10, and this was disqualified because it had +14 quality in aerodynamics, but you can only use a +5 quality in a single category for the car. So that's why this one got disqualified. And then the Halpin Strauss 0416NA by Animated Gaming 12, that was disqualified because it used a total of 25 positive quality points and you can only use 20. Okay, so I'll start with, I actually have 2 test cars, and you saw a red car with the Ferrari V60 body in the thumbnail of the and in the video of the announcement. Since then, I've changed to another mid-engine test car, which is this, and I haven't named this yet, but this is much better, and so that will also serve as a warm-up car for me here. So let's start with this. This is a gotta love the let's go Mets, baby. Gotta love the Mets. Not quite sure what you mean with Mets. Anyway, this car here is one of my test cars. It's rear-engine river drive. It's got a 3-liter turbocharged Boxer 6 engine, and it makes 375 horsepower. By the way, if the car is too quiet, let me know, and I will turn up the volume in OBS. And this, by the way, is not a quiet car. It's just, you know, on my end here. Okay, too quiet. Let's see. Sorry, every time I click outside of BeamNG, it goes into the background, and so when it goes to window mode, so when I go back into it, I have to make it full screen again, and that's the sound that you hear there. Let me know if this is better now. Sounds good? Now this car may not be the fastest car in the straight line because it only has 375 horsepower. But look at it, it's still not exactly a slow car. Especially when you can go flat out through there. The car is also fairly light at just 1091 kg, so there are lighter cars in the field, but still that doesn't make this a particularly heavy car. 203.3, there we go. Hello to everyone who joined in the meantime. Actually, there's quite a few of you here already. So yeah, at 203.3 is just about the best that I have managed with this car, I think. So I'm happy with that. So now there's a little trick that is only possible if you disable competitive mode, and we'll try this. So replace current. I think in automation, actually I don't know for that car, but for this car, the automation said this car here would do a 201.5. This right here, by the way, has a 6.5 liter V12 making 500 horsepower. I know it could make a lot more than that, but look at the torque curve, because this thing is all about the torque. Yep, look at that. So this is why it only makes 500 horsepower. Because it makes so much torque throughout the whole rev range. I find it a little bit distracting when I put this on screen, because if it's like small like this, so it doesn't interrupt with the main field of view, then it doesn't really do much. But if I make it bigger so I can actually read the numbers, then it's too big. But I will pull this up for every car at the start. Okay, so let's compromise on that. I will give every car a styling score anyway. So 6.5 liter V12, lots of torque, 500 horsepower. Yeah, and lots of downforce as well, and long gearing. As you can see, the engine definitely has quite a bit of a grunt. Oh, now the checkpoints are gone. This is my own test car, by the way. This is not an actual competitor here. Late on the brakes, but is it even... I know there's the timer running in the top right, but will this even affect the leaderboard? Because if not, then we gotta go do it the old-fashioned way and reload the map every time. As you can see, this has quite a bit of torque and will make the tail come out during that long left-hander, even though we've got pretty long gearing and we're in second gear here. We could easily take this in first. Late on the brakes there for that one, but and for that one too. Was just a little bit too eager on the throttle there. But look at it go here. A little bit of braking here. It can't quite do that flat out, but then again, it is faster on those straights than the last car, so... Okay. Threw that one completely sideways. I expected to die there, but... I really shouldn't have fiddled with the brake balance that much and put it that much rearwards. That was one of the last changes I made to this car with the setup. I really shouldn't have... I really should have left the brake balance where it was. I overdid it with the... Oh, yeah, see. It doesn't count when you cross the finish line here. So, we gotta go back and do it this way. Well, you've already seen this car now. So let's go with the two disqualified cars, and then we get into the actual competitors. It was slightly slower than the first car, indeed, but remember I made that one mistake there. So when I completed a clean lap with the second car, I was also able to manage like a 2 or 3.4 or 0.5, something like that. So very similar to the first car. But yeah, here is the what's this thing called again? It's one of the DQ'd cars anyway. It's the Jeruk Renewal RL V2 by Lennox V10. I won't throw up the... Excuse me, what is the gearing on this? Definitely interesting gearing here. It's not a slow car though. Feels like it's got a ton of downforce as well. Yep, indeed. But that's slowing it down here. Man, the brakes on this, with all that downforce. I wish it had just a bit more front bite though. It also almost feels like this car is on semi-slicks, but I promise you it isn't. .204.4. I feel like this could have been quicker than my first car, but I was just so startled by the gearing. It does almost look like it's all-wheel drive, yeah. And by the way, guys, sorry, if I sound a little bit different or if you hear me coughing occasionally, I'm still a little bit under the weather. It has been much worse a couple of days ago, and I'm almost back to normal, but not quite there yet. I've got my tea here though, so that should help. Then the second and last of the disqualified cars, the Halpin Strauss 0416 NA. So that name means it has a 4-liter V16. Naturally aspirated. I forgot how much power this makes, but it doesn't really matter. It's a disqualified car anyway. Doesn't strike me as the fastest car here. I mean, it's not slow by by any means, but I feel like we've already had faster cars than this. And, you know, if I notice that after just, you know, 20 seconds or so of driving it, then it means it is a noticeable difference between this and the previous 2 cars that I've driven here. Or 3 even. It's also weird in how sometimes it's quite tail happy and sometimes it isn't. Okay, 209. Wow, that's Yeah, that's what I meant earlier. This is noticeably slower than the other cars before. But anyway, first up, and excuse me, you're gonna hear the Windows sound once more because I gotta bring the spreadsheet in the foreground on my secondary monitor. Okay. So, first up, because we're going in alphabetical order here, is the 1998, or rather 2004 revision of the 1998 FNS Pari Turbo R. I don't know how you say that. Pari? Is that close, at least? Anyway, this thing has a 3-liter turbocharged inline 5. It makes 453 horsepower and weighs 1301 kg, and it's mid-engined. So we will quickly go ahead and add the power and torque curve on screen again. So we see that we have the turbo kicking in at about 3,400 RPM. And then from there, the torque curve is pretty flat, almost until the red line actually. And the red line is at what, like 8,600? I think 8,500, 8,600, something like that. Yeah. So where do you want me to leave this this graph? Like here, maybe? I feel like that's let's leave it here. And let's not forget the styling. So supercars need to look striking and or beautiful. Otherwise, what's the point in spending, you know, hundreds of thousands of dollars on an exotic car that you, let's be honest, you can't really use in day-to-day driving. So this, I feel like, has a little bit too much going on the front. I feel like there's a little bit too much stuff here. And I especially don't like how the indicators are placed here and not in line with the lower vents here. I feel like it could even do without the round vents here. It could maybe have one of these oval ones instead, just a slim one, like from the edge of the number plate to these canards here, or other aero fixtures, whatever they are, would make it look a little bit cleaner. I do like that the roof is a different color, so it's got a little bit of a two-tone paint going on here. Now around the back, I do like it. One singular exhaust, because it's only got an inline 5. I like these flaps or whatever. So these little winglets on the back, whatever you want to call them, they remind me of the Pagani Huayra. So I do like the rear quite a bit, but I'm not sold on the front. So I'm gonna give this a 6 out of 10. Almost held it there, but it does like power sliding. And you know me, I'm not one to say no to a good drift. The interior does not affect the styling score, because I am still of the opinion that interiors should be optional to make, because they are just... First of all, they rely way too much on modded fixtures, and second of all, they're still a pain in the ass to make. Oh no! I had it there! And then I overcorrected. I had like a 150 mile an hour drift and then I threw it. And now it doesn't want to drift. See, that's what I'm not sure about. Whether or not interiors add weight. Like some people say that fixtures affect the weight in BeamNG, and that affects the performance of the car. But I've had numerous occasions of like testing a car before adding fixtures and then after adding them, and adding a lot of them at that, and it performed exactly the same. I was able to replicate the lap time very easily. And you know, people say that their cars are about 100 kg heavier in BeamNG than they are in automation, but you also have to consider that BeamNG adds the weight of a driver, and I believe the standard amount of fuel is like 38 liters or something like that, so that is not taken into consideration in automation. I had to focus there for a second. Sorry. Man, I'm not gonna lie, the horsepower and torque graph is somewhat distracting there on the left. Let's try and get this nice and steady through here. Okay. Good job there, keeping it under control. Let's now please finish the lap. So driving this car, you can obviously see that the rear end likes to step out, but the front end actually has a really nice amount of grip. It turns in so nicely. There is no hesitation when you turn in, but it just can't put down the power. So this is a 208.26 for the FNS Pari. Yeah, so that's our first time out of the actual competitors. Let's keep going. Next is the Brixley Banshee V10 THR. And this was sent in by a forum user Madrias. Thanks, Taz. This car has a 5.9 liter V10 naturally aspirated, making 456 horsepower, and it weighs 1030 kg, and it's mid-engined. Now, this car, I mean, if you want striking, look no further. But in my opinion, this took it a little bit too far. This looks like something out of Hot Wheels almost. It doesn't look like something that you could actually make and put on sale in the real world. It's a bit too much. It looks too much like a toy, in my opinion. Too extreme. If it were all one color, so if everything was orange, I think it would look a lot better. But I mean, nice effort and everything, but I can't give this much more than like a 5, because this two-tone paint job just doesn't work with. It's not something that you could realistically put on sale and, you know, expect customers to buy. It's a little bit too much out there. You will see the power and torque curve on the screen in just a second. And this apparently doesn't have a diff. So whenever I try to go on the throttle to accelerate out of a corner, it plows straight on. So the opposite of the previous car that we've had. And let me tell you, I much prefer power oversteer than power understeer. Also, for some reason, the shifts in this manual transmission seem slower than the one in the previous cars that we've seen. For some reason, the shift time just seems longer with this one. Okay, no not enough downforce either, especially front downforce. Man, I wish this had a diff. It's a little over the top, yeah. I would agree with that. Okay. Apparently not much downforce to help with the braking there either. Okay, sure. Hey Luke. I can't go any faster through that corner than that with this car because, again, power understeer if I try to, because it doesn't have a diff. And then on the braking it spins apparently. Yeah, okay, but you know what I mean. It's got an open diff, sorry. It doesn't have a limited slip diff. That's... I think a more accurate way of saying it. And as you can see, every time you shift, you get right into the part of the engine's torque curve where it's close to peak torque, so that's good. Good gearing. Very unstable on the braking there. It's got lots of power on the straights, so that's not an issue. But the issue is in the parts that are not straight. And this is gonna be our slowest car yet. 211.985. Next is the Bougie Gin by Aaron with Pizza, and this, out of the little bit, because I've tested almost every car a little bit, you know, off camera already, and this seemed to me like this is definitely going to be one of the faster cars here. This has a 2.9 liter turbocharged inline-six, but despite the small engine, this makes 706 horsepower, and it only weighs 987 kg, and it's mid-engined. This is by Aaron with Pizza. So, looks-wise, I feel like this is very sleek, and if you take away the front canards, it would be very sort of like stealthy almost a little bit understated. The rear aero fixtures there remind me of the Ferrari FXXK. And overall, this is a rather clean design. I think the rear taillights could be a little bit bigger and sort of elongated, so they stretch to the edge here. I feel like they're a little bit too small. Other than that, I like the design, but I think you can do a little bit better. I'm gonna give this a 7. So while some competitors have chosen to make first gear really long in order to meet the 3.5 second 0 to 100 kilometers an hour rule, when the car would have otherwise been too fast, Aaron chose to make the first 2 gears quite short, so that you have to shift twice in order to reach 100 kilometers an hour, and that's definitely an interesting choice there. The car is fast though, don't get me wrong. A little bit late on the brakes there. But yeah, this thing is really quick in the straight. In the bends too, don't get me wrong. It handles very well, like very planted. Really? It was spin there, okay. I thought it was already basically straightened out again. Good run up until there, but then I lost it unexpectedly. I mean, I guess if I had been expecting it to break traction there, then probably wouldn't have spun, but it is still a 700 horsepower mid-engine rear-wheel drive car after all, so whew. This thing is so fast. Not quite flat out through there. Was starting to notice it understeering. Okay, way early on the brakes there. So that wouldn't have been a representative time. There we go, small little lift. Much better braking point this time. I'm so glad I still caught it there. Two minutes, 0.919. Okay, this is definitely the fastest time yet. And I think this is absolutely going to be a pretty tough time to beat. But I think there are two cars that can potentially do it, and we'll get to those a little bit later. Very good car though, very, very fast indeed. Oh, and one of the potential competitors to that is coming up right now. The Century Prometheus Supersport by Teacup. This thing has a 3.5 liter naturally aspirated V10 making 541 horsepower, and it weighs 951 kg. Is one of the mine... Sorry to disappoint you there, Costco, but... anyway, so this is definitely a much more conservative design than what we've seen on some other cars. Sure, it's got a roof scoop, but the front is, you know, rather simple. And so is the rear. It is, I mean, let's be honest, the rear is pretty nice and aggressive with those vents on the engine cover and with the wing and the carbon fiber diffuser, but it's not, you know, super exotic and outrageous, especially on the front here as well. So the fact that the car is you know, striking to look at to most people mostly comes from the shape of the body shell itself, in my opinion, rather than from the what you made out of it. So it looks like a pretty shed supercar like Noble could have made it. I can see where you're coming from on that one, but the Noble M400, for example, is an extremely aggressive car that looks much more like a kit car than this. This looks more, I guess, elegant, you could say. But it doesn't really... The design, like the design elements on this don't really strike out as much as we've seen on some other cars, so I'm gonna give this a 6. So with this car, you really need to watch out for when you hit 8K, because that's when it hits VTEC, and then this thing is as quick as pretty much nothing else in the competition. Like, look at it go here. Jesus Christ. Just about still braking on time, because I noticed that the brakes on this are surprisingly not as good as you would expect from a supercar. Maybe it just feels that way because you're going so much faster than any other car in the straights, and so that you just have to brake earlier as a result of that, but maybe it's also just that the brakes aren't that good. I don't know. Like, there I was definitely late on the brakes. I wanna give this like a true shot, so that it's a fair comparison between this and Aaron's car. It was good, the lap was good up until then, but I threw it away by missing the braking point. That's also what happens when you hit 8,000 RPM and you're not careful. That was not the best way of taking that corner, I know, but... Still a pretty quick first split time. But yeah, once that V10 hits its stride, it's crazy fast. Again, late on the brakes. Let's brake here. A little bit early, but rather be a little bit early than a little bit late. And it wasn't much too early there. Thanks for the follow. Couldn't see who you were because I've got my second monitor covered with the spreadsheet, but 201.4. This was definitely far from a perfect lap. I'll be the first to admit that, but Jesus. I definitely could have gotten a faster time than this had I gotten a better lap. I'm sorry. I apologize right now to Teacup, but you know how it is. One valid lap for everyone. And if the car is just too hard to drive to get a clean lap in, then I'm sorry, but I'm not gonna spend hours with each and every car. We don't have that kind of time. Next up is the Falcon Hellfire. And this was sent in by Logores. And this car has a 10.2 liter turbo V10. Yes, a 10.2 liter twin turbo V10. Now you're probably thinking, wow, that's gonna make a lot of power. But this probably makes twice as much as what you're probably thinking now, because this makes 2,228 horsepower. Yes, 2,228 horsepower. It also weighs 1,788 kg because it's got such a big engine. As with all cars, I have, or almost all cars, I have given this a bit of a test drive and figured out just how you drive this thing. And it can be driven, but it can't be driven near the limit. Let's pull this up real quick again, because if we make this a little bit larger, you will see that even here at like 3,000 RPM, let's go down there. Even at like 3,000 RPM, you still have 800 Newton meters, which is still more than pretty much any other car. At 4,000, you have just about 850-ish Newton meters, and at 5,000 you've got about 1,000 Newton meters. So even if you stay away from the big turbo boost at like 6,500 RPM or whatever, even then this is still going to make a hell of a lot of torque to get you moving pretty damn quickly. So generally, if you want to actually try and attempt to lap this car, you have to stay below 7,000 RPM. If you cross 7,000 RPM, you're pretty much gonna die. So that it's as simple as that. Now let's get to the styling. Obviously, Lamborghini body shell is going to be striking always. I don't really think that the use of these vents on the front bonnet is particularly good looking. It's aggressive, sure, but is it beautiful? Also, the car is missing side mirrors and wipers. And the taillights are definitely more like 2015 than 2004. So I can't give this a particularly good the styling score, because the rear taillights are definitely too futuristic, and apart from them, the rear end is a little bit empty. And then, as I said, I'm not a fan of these massive pointy vents on the front bonnet. So I'm going to give this a 4 out of 10 for design. Also, this will happen if you use the turbos too much. They will overheat. That's the engine warning there on the left. You also have to be wary of wheel spin, because that'll quickly get you to 7,000 RPM more quickly than you would normally like. And 7,000 RPM, remember, is when you die. See, even in a straight line there, it really started spinning up. 212.165. Yeah, I survived. And let's hope I survive this one as well, the Gilbert 539R. This one was sent in pretty late, but still on time, by Cherry Pie. This has a 3.6 liter turbo V8 It makes 1078 horsepower and it weighs 1178 kilograms and it's front engined. It's a flat plane V8 apparently. Yep. So the first impression I got from this when I looked at it in automation was sort of like a more modern and bigger Shelby Cobra Daytona coupe, something like that. It has this sort of really long bonnet and then sloping a sloping rear as well. This still uses the Saleen S7 body that we've seen on many other cars before, but the trick to this one, styling-wise, is that it's pushed the front windshield from somewhere like here all the way back to here, and that gives it this sort of long nose, kind of front engine, almost sort of like a stretched Corvette silhouette. And I like that. The front end styling, I think, is fine. I think it could have done without that horizontal bar in the grille there. I feel like this would have looked a little bit cleaner. Side is pretty plain and empty. Rear end is aggressive and pretty like bold and square. And this little indent here on the back, I don't know what you call it. It's a body molding fixture there. That adds a little bit of character. Most of why I like the design comes from the morphing to the body shape itself, but I do still kind of like the car overall, so I'm gonna give it a 7. Okay. For a second there, I thought, oh, this is a nice car to drift, and then boom, the turbo kicked in, and I was like, oh, this is way too much for a balanced drift car. Once it goes, though, finally no wheel spin in 5th. Careful coming out of this one. I even called it before it happened. Ah, come on. Late on the brakes. Jesus. But I would probably say that after this and the Falcon that we've just seen, I think those are gonna be the two hardest cars to drive that that I've got to get through. So. Once it hooks up, it's super fast. .207.7 is actually faster than I was expecting it to be. The thing is, if this had, wait, what is the size of this V8 again? 3.6 liters. If this were like naturally aspirated with like 450 to 500 horsepower, something like that, then I think this would have been a really, really good car, because it's got a really pointy front end, very nicely balanced, good downforce. And with without the turbos, I'm sure this would have put the power down much better than it does here. So I'm thinking going naturally aspirated with this car would have probably made it faster than it is now. Next is the Kps Banshee LMH by Kps Kr12 Gt. And this car, let me see. This has a 6.2 liter V12 naturally aspirated. It makes 575 horsepower and it weighs 1333 kg and it's mid-engined. Yeah, two cars called the Banshee. Now, this is definitely one of the more striking cars out there, not only because it's bright green, but also because it's got these fancy grille and vent arrangements, which I'm not sure if I like. It sort of looks like a happy face kind of car, but too angular. I think as far as, you know, cars with a sort of happy face going on the front, some Ferraris did that better than this. But are you going to do that video again where you fix some of these cars? That would be a kind of, I mean, maybe. I'm thinking about it. The side is nice, and I like that. I like that vent there. The rear, I think that generally this just has too much going on. This is just too busy, both on the front and on the rear. The lights are fine, but the grille and vent arrangement here on the back is, I think, also a bit too busy. The rear smiles at you as well. Yeah, just like the front as well. Like, look at that. I don't know. Is it striking? Yes. Is it beautiful? Not in the same way that, you know, that like a Lamborghini Gallardo would have been beautiful. But yeah, let's say let's say 5 out of 10. Apparently it's very low as well, because it seems to be scraping. It's fast though. Okay. One thing I did notice about this car as well is that it's got two 95s on the front and then 305s rear. So two 95s on the front of a mid-engine car is pretty unusual because of the weight distribution. You normally want much wider tires on the rear than you have on the front. But this of course means that the front is very sharp and pointy. But that can be tricky once due to the weight shift, the rear is starting to catch up. Let's see what it's like downforce wise. Oh, okay. There it loses grip almost immediately, so we gotta brake before that turn. Maybe the fronts are too wide. So we have to brake here. Yeah, as soon as you try to turn at high speed, at high speed, due to the extra wide front tires and apparently not a lot of rear downforce, the car likes to spin. So that's gonna be a problem. The car is not otherwise like super hard to drive. You just gotta be mindful that you go sort of slow in and then fast out. But how slow in do we have to go here? Pretty slow. That was actually less than 200 kilometers an hour through there, because otherwise we would have spun again. Considering that we've had cars that went through that same corner at like 270, that's a pretty big difference there. Wow, it lost grip there. I'm gonna... You spoke too soon there, Tess. Like in the slow to mid-speed stuff, this car is not hard to drive. But in the higher speeds, it just... the front is too aggressive. Needs to get tuned down a little bit. So let's try this. A little bit smoother and faster through there this time. Tried to keep the tail in check there, succeeded thankfully. And then there I tried to make it come round just a little bit and it didn't. That's a 209.28 for the Kps Banshee. Yeah, not enough rear downforce, or alternatively the front tires are just too wide. Because 295s on the front of a mid-engine car, you really got to know what you're doing if you want to make that work. And you would probably prefer wider than 305mm rear tires in that case. You would probably want something like 335s or even 355s. Next is the... oh damn, we still have a lot of cars to go. Next is the Kps Kr12 Gt. That was sent in by ABG7. This car has a 6-liter V12 naturally aspirated. It makes 620 horsepower, and it weighs 1362 kg, and it's mid-engined. So styling-wise, this is, you know, definitely McLaren-esque. Although the front lights are definitely the ones from a Murcielago, and then the front sort of grille and vent arrangement looks very much like a Ferrari 458 or the 430. 430, I think. Rear end is pretty nice and clean. I like the wing as well. Side is pretty nice as well. It's relatively simple with just a vent, but I think that vent is placed in a good spot and not too big. Honestly, I feel like this car could do without these vents here on the bonnet. I think then I would give it an even better score, but even so, I like it. I'm actually gonna give this... I'm gonna give this a 7 as well. Sorry there. missed the button for the traction control. This feels like it probably has a geared diff rather than an electric one, and that's fine for the most part, but it's sometimes you just want that little bit of rotation from the rear end and you just don't get it with the gear diff, like right there. Just a little bit more from the rear would have been nice. Okay, not a lot of downforce, especially on the front. Because with an electric diff, you often, like, it responds much quicker when you apply throttle. Sometimes you even get oversteer when you don't want it, and that's why this may have been a deliberate choice to go geared diff on this one. But I think this car could have done with an electric diff. At least I think it's got a geared one and not an electric diff. I don't know for sure, but that's what it feels like to me anyway. Not a lot of downforce, especially front downforce. It's lacking a little bit. Gonna go around anyway, even though I know I was a little bit late on the brakes, but engine's great though, it's got a lot of torque. It's just the handling that's this car's a weak point. I feel like an electric diff and maybe a little bit sharper front end, and then it would have been quite a bit better. 211.534. See, geared diff isn't necessarily a bad thing, but you gotta tune the car to work with it. Next up is the Marussia MA4S, and that is by Random41. This has a 7.8 liter V16, and it makes 865 horsepower, and it weighs 1489 kg in its mid-engine. So, like, when you see a car coming down the road with this sort of Lamborghini wedge shape, it's never not gonna be striking, right? But I feel like the taillight or the headlight arrangement here is pretty subtle. It's not very aggressive at all. It's clean and elegant. The taillights, I'm not so sure about, to be honest. Those are, like, the rear end is a little bit Like the taillights are too thin and a little bit too futuristic in my opinion for 2004. It's got a nice sort of aggressive stance though. It's a dark blue color, and there aren't that many fixtures on it, to be honest with you. But also the glass engine cover there is also a nice touch. I'm gonna go. You know, it's good, but I think it could be improved in some ways. So I'm also gonna give this one a 7 for design. Very pointy front end. Okay, let's try that again. I had a little bit too much confidence in the car there, in the car's grip. Then I remembered, okay, this is 860 horsepower rear drive. Okay, let's not do that again, please. Okay, not enough downforce to go at that speed through there. Focusing here, because otherwise that happens just much worse. Almost lost it there, I thought I'd lost it. 205.887. That's actually a pretty good time here. Wait till he sees mine. Surreal Serial. I don't know what your Discord name is, so no idea. Next is the Maevo Mr5kr, and that was sent in by, let me see, by DJ Adania, or do you say that name as 2 words, or is it Jadania? I know you're here in the chat, so you can... Okay, just call me DJ. Fine. First of all, the car has a 5-liter naturally aspirated V10. It makes 596 horsepower, and it weighs 1169 kg in its mid-engine. So styling-wise, this is definitely striking and really, really aggressive. A little bit too aggressive, in my opinion. A little bit too race car-y. You know, so many splitters and canards and spoilers and wings and everything. It's very bright and orange, and you know, overall some of the body lines are still clean and nice to look at, but I think it is a little bit too busy. It looks like a GT3 class car, yeah. How am I the first person to pronounce it right? I have no idea. Styling score for this one. Wait, hang on. Are these also taillights, like right here? I think those are also lights. Yeah, indeed. And I think for a production supercar, this looks a little bit too race car-ish. But the overall design language and everything is still good, so I'm gonna give this a 7. So with this much aero, it should really be going through here flat out. Nope. Not enough front downforce. It has high speed understeer. Other than that, this actually drives fairly well. Suspension-wise, it feels nicely balanced. Can put the power down now also. Probably because it just doesn't have like a ludicrous amount of power. I mean, 600 horsepower is still 600 horsepower. But it's not overwhelmed by the engine as much as some of the other cars that we've seen. brakes are really good. .201, 202.5. That's a really good time here. Honestly, this was a great car. Better than I remembered it being from my initial test driving, but wow, good. Good job. Very impressive. But we have a lot more cars to go still. Next is the Micron V6T. That was sent in by Harmless. I do like it overall. It could use a little bit more front downforce, then I think it would be even better. But it's well balanced and, you know, it can put down the power, which is something you can't say about too many cars in this field, apparently. Let me take a sip of tea here for a second. Anyway, the Micron V6T, 3.6 liter V6 turbo, 695 horsepower, 1093 kg, and it's rear-engined. Styling-wise, I have to say this misses the spot, to put it politely here. I think that the combination of this Lexus grille and the front, the massive front diffuser, I don't think it works. And the headlights are also too small for the front of this body, or too far inside. There's so much empty space on the side here. Nothing on the huge bonnet either besides a small badge. No wipers. And the rear wing is, again, just ludicrous. I'm gonna say this is the worst styling score that we've seen so far, and I'm sorry to say this, but it's a 2 out of 10. So this has no ABS, no limited slip diff, and no traction control apparently. So, did I say the 2 hardest cars to drive are behind us? Maybe not. Okay, so we but you see, once it starts going, it really fires off. You can't like brake and steer with this car the way that you can with other cars with ABS. Because you're gonna lock up the brakes. Like in the straights, this is ballistically fast. But I feel like the lack of ABS is definitely hurting it more than the lack of limited slip diff. I feel like with ABS this would probably be at least 5 seconds faster around this track. Like this is stupid fast in the straights. And surprisingly well balanced through the corners as well. But the lack of ABS is really, I mean, I'm sure if I do another 3, 4, 5 laps of this, I'll go faster than this 208.7. But, you know, every car gets one clean lap and then that's it. So I'm not going to spend too much more time with that. Next is the Miranda Cosmopolitan RSZ40 GT3 package Aikawa Special. Say that 10 times fast. So that car is by Unos 100. Talk about a mouthful of a name. Indeed. And the rear diffuser already fell off because it was too low. This has a 4-liter V8 twin turbo. It makes 622 horsepower. It weighs 1266 kg and it's front engined. So styling wise, I kind of like it. I have liked some of this guy's cars in the past. Though this one is, I think, not quite as strong as some of the old ones. I like the front though. It's one of those cars where you can see, okay, this was a standard kind of GT coupe or whatever at one point, and then got turned into a more race version of it by adding these canards and the carbon bonnet and the vents on it and whatnot. But you can see the sort of base car behind that with this one, so I like that aspect of it. I think the rear taillights, these come from an Audi R8, of course, which came out in, well, the second generation Audi R8, which these lights come from, came out in, what, 2015, 16? So they are too modern for the 2004 era. But other than that, I'd say good looking car. A little bit racy, but still gonna say 7 out of 10. This reminds me of like a CLK DTM or something like that. Somehow in my head I'm expecting this to feel like a heavier car but then I remember it's not that heavy actually. It's 1266 kg. That's not that much. Now this car has a lot of downforce, so this is still not flat out. Even though this has an appreciable amount of front downforce as well, but apparently it's still not enough. What am I doing there in third gear? That was definitely a much better launch than launching in first. You can brake really late in this because it's got so much downforce. And obviously also because front engine car has a wider front tire, so more rubber to stop you than what you typically find on a mid-engine or rear-engine car. Oh right, this has 600 horsepower in its front engine rear-wheel drive, so that just became clear again. To 10.8. Suspension looks soft compared to... Hopefully minus core sign styling. Okay. I was supposed to give more liberal with fixtures. Same time more conservative with looks overall. Okay. If I look at how it's going so far, I think I'll get P3 overall in the whole challenge. We'll see about that. There is definitely one more car coming up that I think is going to be among the top 3. I love how it instantly disintegrates on spawning. And yeah, this one is definitely a top contender as well. This is the Never Gonna Give You Up by Kr. So, is that how you say it, or is it Kr? Anyway, this thing has a 5.4 liter V10. It makes 570 horsepower, and it makes and it weighs 950 kg, and it's rear-engined. So I'm not gonna lie. When I first saw this in the submitted files sub-channel and I first loaded it up in automation, I almost expected it to pull up YouTube on my other monitor and rickroll me. Thankfully that didn't happen, but despite the meme name, I can tell you one thing. This is a serious performer on the track. We'll see that in just a second. Styling-wise, I definitely think this is the best looking car that we've seen so far. It is very striking, yet still clean lines and elegant. Lots of detail, obviously with a great interior as well, but even discounting the interior, this is definitely a great looking car. And honestly, even the taillights are sort of error correct. They're not too futuristic. I said this in a couple of streams before. I don't want to be too. I don't want to hold back the 10 out of 10 if I see an amazing looking car that I think deserves it. So this is a 10 in design. Like, this is honestly, this is a true supercar appearance here, in my opinion. Sure, it's very aggressive with these rear on the deck here. These vents here are a little bit awkward, but bad line through there. I apologize. But the cornering speeds of this thing are absolutely nuts. And it's no slouch in the straights either, as you can see. Ah, come on. So close to the finish line. But yeah, this thing is absolutely a great performance car. That was more me being greedy with the throttle than really the car's fault there. But Jesus, this thing is fast. Not just in the straights. Could have braked way later there. A bit late on the brakes there, but can still recover. Didn't crash on the last corner this time. And a 159.4. Wow. Now, Teacup, I'm sorry, and I recognize that I didn't get the best out of your car on the run that I had here. I only got a 201.4, and I noticed that obviously I could have done faster, but I made a mistake near the end. So this would have probably been in contention for somewhere between Aaron's car and this car, I think. But yeah, meme name, but serious performance. Next is the Osoni Max Q by Edsel. This has a 8-liter twin-turbo V10, but somehow only makes 611 horsepower, and it weighs 1678 kg, and it's front-engined. So, one thing that also baffles me about this is that the engine, I think, makes something like only like 0.4 or 0.5 bars of boost, which is why if you look at the power and torque curve, it almost looks like the power and torque curve that you would find on a naturally aspirated engine. So my question is, why turbocharge the engine at all if you're gonna do that? Why not just leave it naturally aspirated? Anyway, let's go to the styling. And I think that this is, this isn't a supercar. I'm sorry, but just because it's got a wing on the back doesn't mean it's a supercar. I'm gonna be honest here. I don't like the color. I don't like the front fascia. At least I don't like it for a supercar. For like an entry level like family sedan, this sort of front fascia works, but like a Honda Accord or something like that. But yeah, it has basically no detail to speak of, and I'm gonna be honest here. This is a pretty weak design. I'm gonna say it's is it as bad as the Micron V6T? I'm debating between 2 or 3 out of 10. But since this does not look like a supercar at all, I'm gonna go 2 out of 10. Now, I don't think Edsel was really expecting to be competitive with this. Maybe we can just have a little bit of fun sliding it around. We've got brake fade already after half a lap. Let's try that again. Yeah, I agree. This is definitely one of the weakest designs here that we've seen. One of the best drift cars, though. Okay, so 2 hours and 18 minutes later, we arrive at the finish line. um, Next is the Tmc Taipan Gt, and that was sent in by Luke T. the Boss. That has a 3.7 liter inline 6 turbo with 600 horsepower, and it weighs 1278 kg. Now, when you look at the front of this, and when you look at the stats, 3.7 liter turbo, 600 horsepower, and about 1278 kg, then you know, this kind of looks on paper to be somewhat like a McLaren 12C, which came out in 2010 and had a 3.8 liter turbo engine, also 600 horsepower and about 1250 kg-ish, something like that. So pretty close in stats. I'm gonna say the one, like the front end is good. I like the lights and the relatively subtle but yet sporty looking grille and vent arrangement. The side is nice and clean and still, you know, supercar like. The rear is too busy. It's got too many little things going on. I think that if these side vents didn't have these like horizontal lines going through them, but they were just, you know, just with the mesh alone, I think it will also look a little bit cleaner. Same with the grille down here. The double stacked wing is also a little bit not really the best looking thing in my opinion. The upper half of the so this part right here with the taillights and the badging and everything, I like that quite a bit. But you know, overall, I like the front and this and the side and part of the rear. I just don't like the other part of the rear. So I'm debating between 6 or 7 out of 10. What do you guys? What do you say, guys? Probably more of a 7 because there is a lot of good stuff going on with this. Yeah, 7. Let's go 7. Nice torque curve as well. Seems very stiff. Not enough front end bite though. So I'm definitely not thinking that this is going to do this corner flat out, so gonna brake in. Still not enough front grip, even at that speed. Yeah, Teacup, I think your design was just a little bit too conservative. It wasn't bad by any means. It just could have used a little bit more aggression. Engine feels strong though. Early on the brakes there. .9. That lands this somewhere in the middle. Because there's, you know, quite a few cars behind it as well. But already outside the top 10. Next is the Ultratica Varia X 2004. And that is sent in by Costco. Yeah, I mean, Tess, your car, it may have been down on power, but what it did have is a lot of front end bite. It just struggled a little bit with putting power down, but turning in was never a problem for your car. This one, again by Costco, 4-liter V12 naturally aspirated, 522 horsepower, 1126 kg mid-engine, and I think this looks pretty damn good. This is definitely sort of Ferrari-ish looking, but not a Ferrari copy by any means. Got nice detail both on the front and on the side. The rear end, there's the one thing, and by the way, these black squares would have spelled Varia, so the model name of this. It's just that in BeamNG they don't export properly. The one thing that I don't like about the rear end design of this is the fact that while this grille here is a nice and curved shape, the taillights are just simple round ones. It's just like as if he'd gone through the whole design process of the rear end, and then except for the taillights, and then noticed, we need taillights too, let's slap some round lights on, there we go. I feel like it could have there's so many ways you could have made this work a little bit better. You could have either chosen just different taillights that flow a little bit better with this grille, or you could have made a more standard sort of rectangular with rounded ends kind of grille around these taillights, and that would have also worked better. But the combination of these taillights and this upper grille here, I don't think works quite as well. But apart from that, I'm thinking this is definitely one of the stronger designs. So I'm gonna give it an 8. A little bit of a mid-corner push on acceleration, but not that bad. It manages its power pretty well. Not a lot of front downforce on this one either, unfortunately. This is definitely a car where you apparently never need to be afraid that it's gonna spin. But it has this sort of mid-corner push that apparently costs much more time than I felt like it would. It did not feel to me like this is one of the slowest cars here. Anyway, yeah. Sorry, but apparently I was wrong with my estimation as for how quick this was, but it's only a 209.7. We got 4 more cars to go. Next is the UMC Sidewinder Neo 04 Special. And this was sent in last minute by... there's a P missing there in this user names on the spreadsheet. It's XPack. So I just made a typo in the spreadsheet. Sorry, guys. This has a 4-liter V8, 503 horsepower, 1392 kg, and it's mid-engined. But because it's relatively heavy, that gives it good weight distribution. It's, I think, 44.56 if memory serves. Front end, let's not be kidding ourselves, it's a McLaren 12C. Rear end, pretty plain, pretty simplistic. No wing even, although a huge rear spoiler, or rear like diffuser. Where are the exhausts going on this one? Nobody knows. the front is a McLaren 12C. You can't deny that. The rear is just too plain for me, and I'm gonna give this a 4 for looks. But maybe it's fast, who knows? Oh, no ABS. And it likes drifting. I'm not really against cars that like drifting, as you guys know, but it won't make the car very fast around the track, and especially considering that this is also lacking / missing ABS. Okay, a little bit scary there. Brake fade already. So brake fade already, and now we're coming up to another long braking zone, so I'm gonna brake nice and early. Still not early enough. All brakes are fading and smoking, and I don't know if we can finish a lap, guys, because we don't have brakes anymore. And we kind of need brakes on a racetrack. Because there's only so much you can do with engine braking. And 2:16.292. Whew. Yeah, beam shows brake fade to the left where you have your vehicle damage, and yeah, there the brakes are gonna light up and it's gonna say brake fade. Next is the Wells Vendetta version 2. That is by Deuce the Truth. It has a 4.6 liter Boxer 6 turbo, 485 horsepower, and it weighs 1140 kg, and it's rear engined. Styling wise, I do quite like the front end. It's aggressive and novel, although a little bit everything is a little bit thin. And I feel like there's too much empty space on the bonnet. I think when everything cuts off sort of here, and then all of this is blank, I feel like some kind of, just a little something would have definitely helped. The rear end I'm not a fan of. First of all, the lights are way too modern. These are like 2015, 2017 kind of lights. No rear spoiler either. And then, I don't know, the contrast between this line here, this body line here being very rounded, and then this here being deliberately kind of square, I don't think it works. And with these kind of rectangular exhaust as well, no, I'm not a fan. Gonna give this overall, because the front is okay. The front is fine. Gonna give this a 5. Okay, so first it wanted to power oversteer and then it didn't. The steering behavior overall, sorry for that. Steering behavior overall is nice and neutral actually on this one. A little bit of a front end push on the way out of the corner, but what really worries me is this upcoming part, because I didn't see like any meaningful aero fixture on this. Oh, and we have also got brake fade on this one. Okay. Brake balance is also pretty off, apparently. He drove a few laps, but probably not at like Probably not at like full bore because he would have experienced brake fade already, because we've already had brake fade here like for half a lap. Or after half a lap, I should say. And brakes are kind of important when you want a good performing supercar. See, on the straights it is pretty damn quick. 210.8, but the lack of downforce and the brake fade is the two things that are really holding this back. I think we've got two more cars. Yeah, the WMC Deny V8S by Tall Trini Guy is up next. And that has a 4-liter V8, naturally aspirated, flat plane V8, 508 horsepower, 1345 kg, and it's mid-engined. I'll give you the time real quick. It was a 210.888. Good. So the WMC Deny. I think the front end is actually pretty good. Although I think that the front grille could have been just a little bit further down, maybe, to more cleanly fit between these two vents. The side profile is nice. I mean, it's a small R8 body. And then on the rear, I think it could do without this part of the rear diffuser arrangement here. Like this up until here, the curved one is fine, but this angular one above, I don't like it as much. Nice detailing overall though, so good effort there. I'm gonna go 6. See, the last car we had a pretty damn nice initial turning, but then a sort of front end push on the way, like midway through the corner and on the way out. This car is feeling like a little bit of the opposite. It doesn't have bad turn in by any means, but it's not as responsive as some other cars. But then it has, when you apply power on the way out, it kicks the tail out rather than pushing straight on, which I prefer actually, but okay, apparently that's too late for of a breaking point there for this car. See, this is the thing, right? Each and every car that you guys send in is gonna be different, and I'm basically the test pilot for every single one of them here. So, like, my first clean lap around here is pretty much maybe not the first time I've driven the car overall, but definitely the first time I'm trying to drive it quickly. So don't expect me to get near the times that that you guys can get out of your cars, because you know, you probably spent hours testing and tweaking them, whereas I just get, you know, a few attempts just to set one lap and then that's it. So I'm doing my best here. Okay, I think the car is actually still fine after that. Eight, 9, 10 to 11.139. I did 214 in my car, he went 12 seconds faster. Okay, well, it's nice to hear. Okay, 211.139 for the WMC deny. And last but not least, excuse me. Right. Select vehicle, please. Okay. Okay. So for one car, we're gonna have to restart Beam for a second. I don't think it liked the fact that I pulled up that screen while we were still on another car. So racetrack circuit, one lap, and the final car for today is the Habend Turan Classe Cabrio V12, and okay, sorry, that was sent in by Hugo Oyon. It's got a 6-liter twin-turbo V12. It makes 643 horsepower. It weighs 1598 kg in its front engine. So okay, now this, you can't tell me that you don't see a Mercedes from the front. The grille is a little bit too big to be an accurate Mercedes representation, but you can't unsee Mercedes. Let's just be honest here. It's kind of a mouthful, but it's German words, and I'm Austrian, where, you know, German is the native language, so it's easy to say for me. The rear end is definitely not Mercedes, although I do like the design, but it does not look like a supercar. It looks, you know what it looks like? It looks like a Brabus. With the large kind of black wheels. With the huge chrome grille. With the massive exhaust. And the diffuser. It looks like a Brabus. A Brabus E-Class or something like that from the early 2000s. It fits the era. It just doesn't look like a supercar. And because, you know, if this were a challenge about like luxury GTs or something like that, or, you know, powerful GT cars, I would have given this a higher styling score because it fits that pretty well. But here, as a supercar, I'm gonna give it a 4. It's not because I don't think it looks very good, it's because it doesn't look like a supercar. It drives like a Brabus too. I can see that it makes close to 1,000 Newton-meters of torque as well. Like you would have gotten from an actual V12 twin turbo Brabus, so it's quiet, very quiet. Brake early with this one because we're carrying a lot of weight here. That was even still a little bit too early, but oh no. I thought I lost it there. Thanks for watching, everyone. That would be the outro shot there. Fully sideways through that banked corner there. Okay. Excuse me? Thought you had torque? Let's start it first then. You saw one time though that I was able to launch it in second successfully, so. Let's just be honest here, guys. This is not gonna be a fast time. So let's just have a bit of fun, shall we? Yeah, I thought I could at least stay on track there, but I expect this to be the slowest time. Probably, yeah. That was still too late on the brakes for that corner, okay. Even though I wasn't going nearly as fast as in some other cars. But seriously, sideways is pretty much the only way you're gonna get this thing around the corner at a reasonable pace. Because if you don't want the tail to step out with this car, you have to be basically off throttle the entire time doing the corner, and it doesn't have like the sharpest turn in anyway, because it weighs 1600 kg. I mean, it's fine for by most car standards to turn in, but not in comparison to these, you know, lightweight supercars. The acceleration out of the corner once you got it straight though is impressive. To 18.67, which is last place. Indeed. Anyway, guys, so I will quickly sort range, sort by column F. Nope. There we go. Okay. Yeah, so the Never Gonna Give You Up took the win here. P2 goes to the Bucci Gin by Aaron with Pizza. Then the Century Prometheus Super Sport, which again may have been second place if I hadn't made that small mistake near the end. Fourth place will go to the Maevo Mr5kr. Surprisingly, my own car would have come in fifth. And then the Marussia MA4S with a pretty strong showing coming in fifth. Then we have the Gilbert. Then we have the FNS Pari, the Micron V6T, and then the Tmc Taipan Gt. Oh, actually, that's 8th, and then we have the Ibis Banshee, and then the Ultratica. No, the Ibis Banshee was The Ibis Banshee is 10th, so that grabs the last available point. Oh. 1 second. I sorted them by the race time here. Don't think that's quite right. I'm gonna say it should be like this. There we go. The Ibis Banshee grabs the last available point, closely followed by the Ultratica Varia, which unfortunately came 11th, so 0 points there. Anyway, for overall standings, the Never Gonna Give You Up is unquestionably in the lead. It's at 30 out of a possible 30 points at the moment, followed by the Bushi Jin with 23. Then we have the Maevo Mr5kr with 21 points, and then a tie for 4th place between the Century Prometheus Sport and the Marussia MA4S, both on 20. Thank you guys for tuning in and for watching. I hope you will join me again next Saturday. I will be streaming the second race next Saturday and then the third race next Sunday, both at 6 p.m. Central European Standard Time, so starting the same time as today. And of course, subscribe and hit the like button if you haven't yet. And I hope to see you again next Saturday. Until then, have a good one. See ya. Bye-bye.